Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to do my 31-week update for my second pregnancy. I'm going to go over symptoms and some of the ways that I've been dealing with those symptoms, just some ways that I think might help other moms out there who might be going through the same thing, and then go over my weight gain and all of that fun stuff. And then at the very end, we'll do a bump shot. So if you are new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you a part of my YouTube family. If you enjoy these videos, please give them a thumbs up and let's get started. I don't know if this is really a symptom, but the first thing I wanted to go over is that this week my stomach feels just like massive. So I feel like I said this last week, I think, but it just feels like it's getting so much bigger. And the funny part is every time I go home to my parents' house, we live like an hour away from them, so we go home and have like barbecues and stuff like that sometimes. But whenever I go home to them, now both my mom and my dad have made a comment about how big my stomach has gotten, and so I know it's true and it's not just me thinking it. So I think that's kind of funny. I feel like since this pregnancy is a boy and my first one was a girl, I think this one is more like straight out, and Madeline's was not quite that way, so I'm hoping that maybe that's what it is. My weight gain isn't too far off of what I was at with Madeline, so if anything it's a little less actually, so I'm not worried about that too much, but my stomach has definitely gotten huge. So this past week I did have a doctor's appointment, and at this point in pregnancy I'm going every 2 weeks. I think I have 2 more 2-week appointments, and then we'll be down to every 1 week or once a week. And so this last appointment, I weighed in at 156 pounds, and the baby's heart rate was between 130 and 140 is what the doctor said. She said it kind of kept changing, but she said that it looked perfectly normal. And then she said that he is sitting transverse, so he's in there kind of like horizontally in my stomach. So I asked her about, you know, the chances of breech and all of that kind of stuff, and she said that they don't really worry about the position of the baby until you get to about 34 or 35 weeks, and then they start to look more closely at it, and then if the baby still doesn't move in the next couple of weeks after that, then they would do an ultrasound and see what needed to happen. So we still have quite a bit of time, but fingers crossed that he moves into the right position, so that everything is good to go and we have no issues with that. So I am a little worried about that because Madeline, I feel like, was in that position like super early in pregnancy, and she just kind of hung out there, which I kind of thought was nice because I didn't have to enjoy it, or I didn't have to worry about it. So this time it could be a little bit different, but that's okay. We're just hoping that everything goes the way it should and that he moves into the correct position. Okay, so the next one that I want to go over is that I've noticed this past week my motivation has gone down quite a bit. I don't know if that's because of like lack of energy or just like a hormonal change or what it is, but I've definitely lost some of the motivation that I had previously. And I don't know, I felt like I wanted to share that just because I felt like maybe something was wrong with me when I first was feeling that way. Like, oh, I don't know, not like wrong with me, but just that something was off and I felt really weird about myself and kind of down and stuff like that. So if anyone else out there is going through that same feeling, that's why I wanted to share it, is just to say that, you know, it's not only you, and that everybody kind of goes through those changes in their weeks or their months, and just to keep on going. So by the time that you guys see this video, I actually film it when I'm the week, like after that week has happened, so that I know all the symptoms that went on, but I'm already starting to feel a little bit more motivated and getting back on track with my schedule and my planning and all of that. So hopefully it was just a 1 week like thing, but yeah, I definitely lost a lot of motivation last week, and I just felt like I kind of wanted to just sit there. I didn't, but I felt like that. So I thought that was interesting because before that I had felt like, I don't know, like I was doing really good and keeping up with everything and staying on top of everything, and I was really enjoying that. So I felt weird about losing my motivation all of a sudden, but hopefully it's coming back. I have had a couple of slightly painful Braxton Hicks contractions. I wouldn't say that they're painful in like a contraction sense of the word painful. They just get so, like, the pressure and the like tightness of my stomach gets so intense that it starts to like give me almost like a side ache kind of feeling. I've only had that happen twice, and they were like far apart, like days apart, but they both happened this past week. So I hope that that's not going to keep happening for the rest of pregnancy, but I'll definitely keep you guys updated. And the rest of them are just like normal Braxton Hicks contractions. So I don't know if it's like when I'm super dehydrated or something like that, but this is the first week that I've noticed that happening. Okay, so this week I've also started to notice that my fingers are starting to swell a little bit more. My rings are starting to get a little bit tighter. They aren't too tight and I'm not like super close to taking them off or anything like that, but they have gotten more swollen recently, so I thought I'd keep you updated on that. My ankles and feet, I know in my last video from my 30-week update, I said that they had started to swell and they are kind of just staying constant at where they got to as far as swelling. They haven't gotten any worse or anything like that. So that's nice. So the next one is that the nesting continues and it is like in full force. We don't have a ton of baby stuff yet. We're trying to be super cautious about what we spend our money on for this baby. I feel like with Madeline we went like crazy with what we spent on her and what we bought for her. And I feel like that's a first time parent thing, and looking back on it, I wish we would have like held ourselves back just a little bit because there's a lot of stuff that we bought that we really didn't use. So if you're interested in a video of stuff that we bought for our daughter but did not use and it was like a waste of money, let me know in the comments below and I can definitely do a video about that. But I just feel like this time we're trying to be very conscious of what we're spending. We are reusing a lot of the products that we did with Madeline, like with her we got like gender neutral swing and rock and play and all that kind of stuff. We tried to get gender neutral so that we knew we wanted more kids and that way we could reuse them instead of it being super girly. So luckily we have a lot of that already, but as far as clothes and blankets and sheets and all of that, we're trying to be really minimalistic about it. It goes like completely against my nature, so it's been really hard for me not to just buy everything that I see that I want for him. But I think it's going good, and we're also going to be having a sprinkle in a couple weeks, so I kind of want to see how that goes before we spend a bunch of money on clothes. As far as nesting goes, back to the nesting, I've noticed it a lot in like how I want the house to be spotless all the time and I want to organize everything, so that is continuing this week for sure. And I am getting a little bit more anxiety over the baby stuff as far as like I feel like we don't have enough, but I know that we'll get there and I know it'll all be fine, so I'm trying to keep calm about it. So the next one is that this week our crib and changing table arrived. We ordered both of them off of Wayfair and we set both of them up and they're so perfect. So with Madeline's room we went with white, and I actually had a white dresser from my childhood bedroom that we used in her room, and so we went with white. And then I wanted to switch it up for him since he's a boy, and just because I thought it would be fun to have two different nursery styles, and for him his is like a dark brown. And so you'll see all of that in the nursery reveal video. I don't want to show it just yet just because I'm so excited to do a reveal video. But if you are interested in that, please hit subscribe. I'm going to have it up in the next couple weeks as soon as we get it finished. Okay, and this last week, this is something interesting. So we did this with Madeline too, where we pick a name but we don't announce it until she was born. And so we're doing that again with this baby, and we picked a name like a few weeks ago, and I think I mentioned it in whichever update that was, but I can't remember which week we were on, and now we might be changing our mind. So I'm going to keep you guys updated on that, but we keep going back and forth on boy names. I feel like boy names are so hard. So if you have any good suggestions on boy names that you're just in love with, leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear them. Okay, so now I wanted to go into a few tips. I feel like in these videos I've done a lot of symptoms, but I haven't really talked about like how I'm handling them or what I'm using to make them work and just make it a little bit easier on myself. So I thought I'd go over a few tips just to help if there's anyone else out there going through these things, for them to know what I'm using and what I'm liking. So I wanted to start first with my water intake, and I have never been good at drinking water. I just don't think of it. It's like the last thing on my mind. But with pregnancy and with all the Braxton Hicks contractions I've been having, I've been trying to focus a lot on my water intake. So the first thing I wanted to show you is I use a glitter Yeti. This one actually isn't a Yeti brand. I'm not sure what it is. I just got like this from Target, and I actually made this one. But I keep this with me 24/7. And the best thing about it is I'm like a freak about having cold water. I don't want to drink warm water really, especially when I'm like super thirsty. So it keeps ice in the water. Like I'll put it in there at night before bed and it'll be icy cold in the morning still. So it's like perfect. So if you need help remembering your water intake, definitely get one of these. And I really loved making mine. So if you have any questions about it, let me know. The next one is that I found that when I set up like a really pampering bedtime routine, it really helps me unwind from the day and feel like I was actually relaxed and stuff like that. So I would definitely suggest, if you have like a lot of insomnia or you just can't wind down at night or your brain is racing, to like focus on yourself and do a little like me time every night before bed. So it's nothing crazy, but I always do like my skincare routine for my face, and then I'll brush my teeth obviously and do all of that. And then I have my bump butter that I rub on and I put lotion on, and I just like try to wind down. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but I try to use that time to just like relax and focus on me and that kind of stuff. Some nights it gets really tiring and I really don't want to do it, but then by the time I'm done I feel so much better that I did it, and it just makes me kind of like ready for bed. So that's the other thing that's helped. I feel like it has helped in my insomnia ever since I started doing that. It just kind of like calms me down and gets me ready instead of just like jumping into bed. I mean, obviously I brush my teeth and stuff like that, but having a routine that I stick to every single night, the consistency of it has definitely helped. So I would suggest doing that. Okay, so the next one is positive books. And this one, I feel like I've been kind of reading books like this on and off for a few years now, but I feel like they really help to keep me motivated. And I know I mentioned earlier that my motivation has been down, but I have been keeping like 1 to 2 positive, like, I don't want to call them self-help books, but that's kind of what they are, on my nightstand, and then I just choose which one I want to read for that night. And I feel like it really helps to like center me and remind me of what's important, because sometimes I feel like when you're pregnant you get overwhelmed with all of the things that are happening to your body and all the changes that are happening in your life, and you just like forget who you are and what's motivating you and where you want to go. So I feel like having motivational positive books to reach for before bed is definitely like one of my go-tos right now. And I also like to wake up and read my devotional. So usually before bed I'll read my self-help book, like the one I'm reading right now, I don't have it right here, is Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis, and I've been loving that one. So that's the one I'm reading right now. And then I have a devotional that I read in the mornings, and that one is 100 Days to Brave. So I'll link both of those below, but it's really helped me to just feel like I'm more in control of what's going on, and like I'm staying positive and not focusing on all the negatives or the hard things or anything like that. Okay, and then the last one that I wanted to go over is my fitness watch, and I feel like this has helped me stay more motivated to be active throughout the day. So I've had a Fitbit before, but right now I have the Apple Watch, and I really love the Apple Watch. It's so it like has reminders of every hour to make sure you stand up enough in that hour, which being a stay-at-home mom, sometimes that gets tricky and you forget that you haven't stood up in a while, especially when she's napping. Pretty much only when she's napping, otherwise I'm up all the time. So it's good to help remind you to stay active. And then it also has like workout trackers that I use for my workouts to make sure that my heart rate is staying where it needs to be and all of that. And also tracking to make sure like I always feel good. There's 3 circles. I don't know if you can see this, but there's 3 circles in the middle down here. And those tell you like if you stood up enough in 12 hours. So like if you stand up enough for 12 hours, it buzzes at you and tells you good job. And then it tells you if you got enough calories burned for the day, and then the third one is if you got in enough exercise. So seeing all 3 of those closed is like motivation for me. I don't know why, I feel like it like checks off a box in my day if I have all 3 of them closed. So I feel like if you're lacking the motivation to work out, I know Apple Watches aren't cheap, but there's other cheaper ones out there that do a lot of the same things. So I would suggest getting one of those. It makes you realize either how much you don't move or how much you do move, and keeps you motivated to keep going and get everything done. So those are the things I've been using so far. There's a few other things that I want to talk about, but I'll probably put that in my next video because I wanted to get them pulled together and stuff like that. So if you are looking for other things to help get through pregnancy, consider subscribing. I'll have another video up next week for my 32-week update and include some products in there for sure. So a few more things I wanted to go over. I still don't have any stretch marks, so I'm so thankful for that. I've only been using my homemade bump butter like I've talked about, and so far so good. So that is really good news in my book. And then, like I said, my rings do still fit. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about my weight gain. So in the past week, from when I weighed myself for my last update until I went to the doctor, which was about a week apart, I had gained 4 pounds. And so I feel like it totally just shook me, and it just, I couldn't believe it. To me, that seemed like an astronomical number to gain in 1 week, especially when the baby isn't gaining that much at this point. And so I just got really down about it, and I was kind of annoyed with myself and feeling dumb because I'm trying so hard and doing all these things and I'm still gaining a ton of weight. So I wanted to talk about it because I feel my doctor didn't have any issues with it. She said everything looks normal and is fine and I'm healthy and everything like that. So there's that, which is really good reinforcement. And the fact that she's not worried about it really makes me think okay, I need to calm down about it. And it's not that I don't expect to gain any weight. It's just that I feel like that was a high number for 1 week worth of weight gain. So if any of you are going through the same thing, as long as your OB says that you're healthy and your baby's healthy and everything looks good, then I think you have to kind of put that in the back of your mind. At least that's what I'm trying to do, and it's been helping a little bit. I'm just staying focused on eating healthy and working out like I have been and doing stuff like that, staying active with Madeline, and that's all I can really do. And from that point forward, my body is just going to grow the way it grows for this baby to keep him healthy, and I just have to accept it. I did gain quite a bit of weight with Madeline, so I'm kind of starting to wonder if that's just how my body works, is that it gains a lot of weight with pregnancy and then it gets it right back off. So I'm not sure if that's what it is, but I just wanted to touch on that a little bit because I do feel like that's one thing that a lot of people don't talk about a ton, is pregnancy weight gain and stuff like that, because it's difficult to talk about and put that out there. But I feel like it's important because otherwise you kind of feel alone and you're the only one who's gaining that much, because a lot of times you only hear about moms who gain oh, I'm at this point and I gained 15 pounds, which is great and I'm happy for them, but there's also my body just doesn't do it that way, and that's okay. So I hope that helps some of you if you're struggling with your pregnancy weight gain, just to kind of feel more positive about it and just put a different spin on it, that it's what your body needs to be able to help your healthy baby grow. So the next thing I wanted to mention is that on Saturday, which is technically week 32, but I wanted to go over it in this video because I'm so excited. We did a little maternity photo shoot. And I'm so excited about how all the pictures turned out. So I am going to be sharing a lot of those on Instagram. So if you don't follow me yet, make sure you follow me on Instagram. I leave all of my Instagram information in the comments or in the details below. So that's all I had to update you guys on this week. Let's do a bump shot. Here it is from the front. And then from the side. And the other side. So thank you guys so much for joining me on my 31-week update with my second pregnancy. I'm so excited that you guys are following along with me, and I can't wait to do my baby updates once baby boy is here. We are getting so close and I'm just getting so excited. So please don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.